Spider-Man came back! Professor Hulk is here! Thor has a gut now? With so much focus on our heroes and the huge epic scenes during Avengers Endgame, it was very easy to miss some of the smaller moments. In this case, we're referring to a collection of cameos that may have slipped by. Whether you were digging into your popcorn bucket or wiping away some tears, these cameos often flashed on screen for brief moments or featured people you may not have recognized. And then, of course, there's a famous Marvel duck who couldn't help but make his presence known. So let's break down the who's who of Marvel cameos from Endgame that you may have missed. Not only did director Joe Russo have his hands full filming 2 epic superhero movies pretty much back to back, but our own MCU behind-the-scenes hero actually took the time to brush up on his acting skills and appear in the movie. Joe's scene is pretty early on in the film, shortly after the 5-year time jump. He plays one of the members at the survivor support group Captain America attends. His story about going on a date offers a glimpse at the bleak future with half of the population wiped away. And even more importantly, Joe Russo's character is the first openly gay person in the MCU, adding another milestone to the film and hopefully opening the doors to a lot more LGBTQ representation in Phase 4. The Russos actually teased the appearance of an openly gay character for months before Endgame premiered, but never hinted the role would actually be played by Joe Russo himself. Along with the citizen's perspective on the impact of the decimation, the grieving man's story helped transition to Steve Rogers and his own tragic backstory, recalling the events of the first Captain America film and how so many years later, he deals with losing the chance to be with his true love, Peggy Carter. Casting rumors spread for months before Avengers Endgame premiered, and one of the names people talked about was Katherine Langford. The actress, known for the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why and the movie Love, Simon, drew a lot of headlines when she was cast. Who was she gonna play? Scott Lang's daughter? Peter Parker's classmate? A random citizen of New Asgard? The answer is none of the above. And don't go buying another ticket just to try and spot her. The only way anyone got to see Katherine Langford's scenes in Endgame was if you were invited to one of the elusive test screenings. Turns out, the cameo wasn't so great. And no, it's not her acting, it's the role and scenes she was in. Langford was actually cast as an older version of Tony Stark's daughter, Morgan. After Tony snaps his fingers and wipes out Thanos, we were supposed to see Tony enter the metaphysical way station similar to the one in which Thanos met up with a child version of Gamora during Infinity War. The older Morgan was going to tell Stark that it was okay to die and she would be okay. With all the time travel elements in Endgame, the scene proved to be too confusing for test screen audiences and was ultimately cut from the final film. Here's hoping for an extended Blu-ray version, or at least some deleted scenes. The Russos really went out of their way to include a lot of cameos and small moments no one expected. Case in point, the storage unit scene where Scott Lang is released from the quantum realm. The scene features a great cameo no one expected: New York City's famous pizza rat. The rat was brought in for its slick moves and sent on a journey across the special equipment which would be used to set Lang free. Just kidding. The rat was not famous in any way, but someone else in the scene was. The security guard monitoring the whole storage unit was none other than comedic actor Jeong. The actor used glasses and a mustache to disguise himself and has no lines as Scott Lang uses a self-made help sign to get his attention. Jeong's role in Endgame is no accident either. He was a main character on the show Community, the NBC sitcom where the Russo brothers got their start before joining the MCU. Jeong also has another MCU connection, starring in all 3 Hangover movies along with Rocket Raccoon himself, Bradley Cooper. With the MCU under the Disney umbrella, there's no shortage of actors and characters the filmmakers have access to. We'd love to see Tony Stark wear a Mickey Mouse watch, Captain Hook sail the waters on the shores of New Asgard, or even get a nice nod to the Disney-owned Star Wars. But alas, for Endgame, the Russos reached out to one of Disney's big ESPN stars. No, not Chris Berman. We're talking about fantasy football guru Matthew Berry. Yep, on the same week of the NFL draft, Endgame premiered and featured one of the top experts in NFL knowledge. During the 2012 time travel scenes, we see Robert Redford return for his role as Alexander Pierce. But he was not the only cameo in the shot. Pierce's right-hand man is none other than Barry, a quick blink and you'll miss it moment. He tries to grab the case with Loki's scepter and retrieve it for Pierce, but he gets denied. Barry's quick spot in the movie is actually kind of fitting because of the fantasy implications many fans had before the movie. We all got with friends, drafted our favorite heroes, and picked the ones that we'd think would survive. It's just like playing fantasy football, except with a lot more flying and vibranium involved. After directing the 2 Captain America sequels and Avengers Infinity War, the Russos have definitely earned the right to toss in a few self-serving cameos for their films. So, why not include their own children for one of the biggest movies of all time? Come on, you would do the same if you directed Endgame. Joe Russo's daughter Ava was not just a random citizen or background character. She was actually in the very first scene of the movie, playing Hawkeye's daughter Lila. Ava Russo holds her own playing Lila as she tries to follow in her fictional father's footsteps and learn her way around a bow and arrow. The Deadshot Bullseye proved she is a natural, and Clint Barton even refers to her as Hawkeye. With the Hawkeye series in the works at Disney+, time will tell if Ava's role will continue or if she will be recast as the series moves forward. Joe couldn't just let only one of his daughters appear in Endgame. Along with Ava, his younger daughter Leah has a cameo role in the movie. Leah's role may not have been as important as Ava's, but that's a sibling debate for another day. Her part was still a fun moment and pivotal to the introduction of the newly formed Professor Hulk character. When we first see Hulk in Endgame, a group of eager children run up to him for a selfie inside of a small diner. The little girl is Leah, and she provides one of the film's biggest laughs by denying Ant-Man a picture right after snapping one with the Hulk. She can pretty much milk her role for years because Leah got to do something no one has done in any Avengers film: dab with the Hulk. That's right, just as Leah's about to leave the scene, she shares a quick dab with the Hulk. There are many people to credit for bringing Infinity War and Endgame to life, but the origins of the story go all the way back to comic book writer Jim Starlin. Starlin is credited with creating the character of Thanos, arguably one of the greatest villains in MCU history. Does this mean he also came up with the Thanos copter? Well, probably, but we'll just focus on the villain himself for now. To give Starlin some credit for the iconic character, the writer and artist was given a quick cameo spot in Avengers Endgame. Just like Joe Russo, Starlin appeared in the grief support group and had a single line in response to Russo's dating story. Even if you were a comic book fan of the original Thanos stories, it may still be hard to recognize Starlin because he was not a big public face of Marvel like Stan Lee was. Along with Thanos, Starlin helped create characters like Drax the Destroyer and even spent years working with DC Comics. In the world of comic books, Starlin is a legend and deserved a cameo in the movie as much as Stan Lee did. Speaking of Stan Lee, Avengers Endgame also represented the end of live-action Stan Lee cameos in Marvel movies due to his passing. We're pretty sure Lee will continue to appear in movies through framed images, statues, and other ways to display his likeness, but his Endgame role was a special nod to the Marvel creator, and the MCU wouldn't have been possible without him. The Stan Lee we had in Endgame may have been missed by some because he didn't have his signature white hair. Thanks to some great CG work, Stan Lee was transformed into a younger version of himself, speeding down the road in 1970 and cruising past the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters just as Captain America and Iron Man arrived from the future. Lee pumps his fist and proclaims to a soldier to make love, not war, in one of his great final lines in the MCU. The moment was quick and brisk, much like many others in past MCU movies, sticking true to tradition and ending his run in a fitting way. In just a couple of months, we'll have to see how Spider-Man Far From Home honors Lee and carries this tradition into the future after his passing. We cannot imagine seeing a walking, talking duck in early Marvel Studios films like Iron Man or The Incredible Hulk, but thanks to the world building and expansion over the years, Howard the Duck is such a seamless fit. After having small cameo appearances in both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, Howard the Duck returns for Avengers Endgame, and his brief cameo helps answer a few questions. But first, learn about where exactly you can spot him. During the final battle against Thanos, portals start opening up as Doctor Strange and Wong allow a huge army of newly resurrected heroes to join the fight. When the Wasp makes her big return on screen, look towards the right bottom corner and there you'll spot Howard the Duck, locked and loaded with a big gun of his own and ready to fight. So, does this mean Howard didn't survive Thanos' snap? And does this mean he's an official Avenger now? And does this make the original Howard the Duck movie canon to the MCU? So many questions, all for about 1 second of film. The most important cameo in Avengers Endgame may be one that almost everyone missed and helped set up the whole future of the MCU. Thanks to Reddit user Tigres, we may have spotted Captain Marvel actor Ben Mendelsohn during Peter Parker's final scene in the movie. Right before Peter meets up with Ned in the hallway of the school, we see a school administrator in the background greeting students as the Undusted make their return to high school. If the cameo is confirmed to be true, then this could have major implications on future storylines for team-up movies. The reason? Ben Mendelsohn plays a Skrull in Captain Marvel named Telos/Keller. Why would Marvel be keeping Skrulls around and active in various scenes? to help set up the Secret Invasion storyline for Marvel Comics. In the story, Skrulls pose as superhero imposters, fooling many and causing mass panic for our heroes. Setting the seeds in Peter Parker's scene could lead to an epic cliffhanger in Far From Home, or at least a very interesting post-credits scene. If the actor or the Russos ever confirm the cameo, then it could lead to some major theories and what comes next for our remaining Avengers. And there you have it. The next time you go see Avengers Endgame, keep these cameos in mind and see how fast you can spot them. Anyone we missed? Anyone else the filmmakers should have included? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great Marvel content. Thanks for watching.